Now, before we actually talk about the products and the integration points, there's a few infrastructure pieces you're going to want to have in place. So when you're deploying workloads or managing these different endpoints, things go a lot smoother, and you'll notice there's some upfront requirements as well. So I wanted to cover those. First, IP addresses and ranges. You can do a few different things on the networking side. You can, first of all, when we talk about deploying virtual machines or applications, right, obviously they're going to need some sort of networking. So you'll notice a lot of these requirements center around networking. When you deploy virtual machines or you set up virtual data centers or resources and clusters for users to consume from, you have to associate some sort of networking with them. Now, one way to do this is to assign maybe a organization or a certain set of resources an IP pool. So maybe they get 50 IP addresses that are handed out, and they go to vCloud Automation Center networking portion. They request an address, and then it provides them that address from whatever pool or range that you've assigned. Now, the other way is through things like NSX, where NSX can be the centralized DHCP and address management system for the entire infrastructure, the entire enterprise. So that's another way to do it. But basically, up front, you'll want to make sure you have some way of distributing addresses, whether it's through NSX again, or if it's more manually through ranges and pools. You want to make sure you have that in place. You also want to have DNS both forward and reverse. Again, this really always comes into play whether it's setting up the backend infrastructure components or even virtual machines and applications. These all are going to require forward and reverse DNS entries to work properly. Next is Active Directory, and we talked more on the identity service side on how important it is to have Active Directory, to have those credentials and accounts, and be able to populate VCAC with that information. So again, it just goes without saying that it's very important to have that AD integration when you're talking about whether it's user permissions or deploying virtual machines that belong to a domain. There's a lot of different areas where you're going to want to leverage this. And finally, NTP. So NTP is a big one, and whether it's authentication, whether it's deploying workloads, installations, there's a lot of things that depend on a correct time source. So get this right once and use the correct time server and just do it when you do any of these deployments. Makes it a whole lot easier.